Shrikant, hi. Good afternoon.
Yeah, we are doing an webinar.
Hi.
Yeah, welcome, sir.
Yeah,
Please.
Sir, we
Thank
can
you.
hear you.
Am I audible? Visible?
Midun sir, yeah, you are audible and you are most welcome to the webinar,
Great.
sir.
Thank you. Please.
Yeah.
Voice is clear, right?
Yeah, voice is clear, sir.
Great.
We are just waiting for some more participants and director.
Yeah, sure. Please feel free. You have reached back Goa. Srikant, you have reached back Goa.
Yeah, I reached back, sir. Yeah.
Can you do the sharing, sir, of the PPT? Just take a trial. Again, I will request the participants to kindly join and register themselves on the link given on the chat, please. It's a simple form. Just name, email ID, and contact number you have to give so that we can contact you in case there is some queries or some other events we are organizing. Thank you.
ഈ അക്കൗണ്ട് നമ്പർ ഒന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു തരും, പെട്ടെന്നാണ് ഞങ്ങൾക്ക് ചെയ്യുക.
അവിടെ പോയി ചെയ്യില്ല.
ഇവിടുന്നാണ് എൻ്റർ ചെയ്താൽ മതി, എന്നിട്ട് അവിടെ ഡയറക്റ്റ് പൈസ കൊടുത്താൽ.
I request all the participants to mute themselves, okay? Because we are going to start the program. Sir, Director Sir, Parveen Kumar Sir.
हाँ डॉक्टर साहब बोलिए.
Sir, can we start sir?
हाँ बिल्कुल स्टार्ट कीजिए.
स्टार्ट करते हैं सर, इंट्रोडक्शन से शुरू करते हैं. Tajia?
Yes, sir.
You can start the proceedings.
Okay, sir. Good afternoon to one and all. I am Ms. Sajia Muzawar on behalf of ICAR, Central Coastal Agriculture Research Institute. Feel privileged to welcome you all to today's webinar on interacting agri-aquaculture system for promoting blue economy in coastal region through productivity, income, and livelihood enhancement under the theme diversification in aquaculture, organized as part of the Bharat Ka Amrut Mahotsav to commemorate 75 years of India's independence. We welcome our respected Dr. Praveen Kumar Sir, Director ICR CCARI Goa, and respected Speaker of the Day, Dr. Mithun Sukumaran Sir from the Department of Aquatic Biology, University of Kerala. Before we begin, a brief introduction of our institute. ICAR, Central Coastal Agriculture Research Institute, is one of the research institutes established under the Indian Council of Agricultural Research, New Delhi. This institute is mandated to carry out the research and extension work on the field and horticultural crops, livestock, and fisheries relevant to the natural resource base of coastal India for sustainable productivity. With this brief introduction, I would now request Dr. Praveen Kumar Sir, Director ICAR CCARI, to address the gathering.
Thank you, Sajia. Dear colleagues and our guest speaker, Dr. Mithun, at the outset, I extend a very warm welcome to all the participants, and my thanks to my colleague, Dr. Shrikant and Dr. Trives. They organized this program at a very short notice. Colleagues, you all know, today seminar or webinar is being organized under the aegis of Bharat Ka Amrit Mahotsav, which is a 75-week long program being run by the Government of India, and this program will culminate on 15th August 2022. Under this program, Government of India have planned many events, basically to create the awareness among the different stakeholders, whether it be of agriculture, whether it be of fisheries, or for the animal husbandry. In that backdrop, this special program has been organized to promote the agri-aquaculture. Basically, this program was given to the Ministry of Assembly of Fisheries. They in turn requested all the NRM institutes which have fishery scientists, since we have 2 fishery scientists here, and they all are doing wonderful work, and we have excellent aquaculture facilities as well. So I would like to highlight that aquaculture, you all know, is very important, and if we compare the aquaculture with the animal sector or as well as for the agriculture sector, among the agricultural sector, this aquaculture growth rate is much higher than the agriculture sector. Rather, slightly higher than the growth rate of the animal sector. And friends, you will all agree that there are options through which we can integrate our aquaculture or fish component with the agriculture. I would like to just cite the example of the two places or two institutions which have done exceedingly well work in this field. One from our Andaman Institute, they have developed some land-based modification systems in which they are taking aquaculture along with the rice fields. Similarly, in Sundarban areas, one regional center of Central Soil Salinity Research Institute at Canning Town, they have also come up with different models of landscaping models in which fish is the important part, and through that models which have been deployed in almost 2,000 hectare or 3,000 hectare in the West Bengal, and the farmers are getting very good yield, very good productivity, and their income and livelihood has increased tremendously. So to me, this agri-aquaculture seems to be a very prominent way of improving the income of the farmers, which is the need of the hour, because in general, agriculture sector in India is under stress and the income is decreasing, and farmers are not more interested in the agriculture. If we want to retain the farmers in the agriculture, so it is our religious duty, it's our social duty to increase the income of the farmers. Otherwise, farmers, specifically next generation of the farmer, will not be able to continue with the same profession. So in this backdrop, I feel that there is a great scope to improve the income of the farmer as well as their livelihood by integrating fish component with the agriculture. And with these words, I convey my thanks to Dr. Shrikant and my best wishes for the further deliberations and future lecture, and I convey my thanks to Dr. Mithun also to agreeing to our request for delivering a lecture on today's webinar. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. I request all the participants to kindly mute the audio. Now I request Dr. Shrikant sir, scientist ICAR, CCARI, to introduce our today's speaker, Dr. Mithun Sukumaran sir.
Thank you, Parveen Kumar sir, and thank you, Sajia, for giving me an opportunity to introduce our guest speaker of the day. Dr. Mithun Sukumaran, he's currently working as assistant professor in the Department of Aquatic Biology and Fisheries, University of Kerala. He completed his PhD in aquaculture from Institute of Tropical Aquaculture, Malaysia. His research on circulatory aquaculture systems, aquaculture engineering, probiotics, and effects of natural products against fish pathogens. He served as a research scientist at School of Applied Science, Singapore, and as a lecturer in the Institute of Tropical Aquaculture, Malaysia. He has also served as the assistant professor in Kerala University of Fisheries and Ocean Studies, Kochi. He has completed about 10 research projects on recirculatory aquaculture system, breeding of ornamental fish, mud crab, then taxonomic characterization of fishes of South and Southeast Asia, cancer cell line inhibition by the probiotic bacteria, grow out cell culture of marbled snapper species. He is also a recipient of SKS Fellow Scholarship for 3 years at University Malaysia, Terengganu. Then to his credit, he has 60 research publications in national and international journals, compendiums, books, and magazines. He has guided 5 PhD students, 3 MPhil students, and 7 MSc students in the field of aquaculture and fisheries. Friends, actually his field exposure is very much, because we have observed in Kerala many of the aquaponics units are constructed under the guidance of Dr. Mithun and team. So with these words, I would formally welcome Dr. Mithun to this webinar. I request Sri Vishwajit Prajapati is kindly requested to welcome Dr. Mithun virtually showing the slide. Sajia, you can continue now.
Thank you, sir. I now request Dr. Mithun Sukumaran, sir, to kindly deliver his lecture.
Thank you, Director Sir, Dr. Srikanth, and Dr. Vivesh. He was also connecting with me for making the arrangements. Thank you very much, sir, for giving me a chance to talk with such a wide audience. I could see some familiar names. I'm very sorry. I'm very new to this institute, in fact. But I will say, this is the best and the first connecting link for us to work together further. I should say that this is the best topic I have, I should say that to highlight that integration. So that topic is fantastic because we all know that the future is what Sir, as Director Sir just mentioned now, that we have so many issues, India being such a vibrant country and, so much of coastline lying, with more than 8,000, I think, kilometers of coastline is there. So much of backwaters are lying idle. But, we do not have, such a system where, our farmers make their own income. I feel that, always what we come across is the farmers who come into the field, sometimes they miss out. Sometimes they miss out, especially when we, look about at the breakout, how far, they gain the, so much what they have invested so far. So I should say that, aquaponics or recirculating aquaculture system, biofloc, these are all, coming into our field quite a lot, especially if you look at Indian scenario, especially the both governments, if I look at Kerala government as well as the central government, both are giving so much of schemes for the farmers to start with. What we are now looking at is, had we been done, this aspect of work schedule 10 years before, we would have been, crossing China by this time. But, no point in saying what has gone behind. But the scenario current now I would highlight is, I would like to say is both the governments in Kerala, especially, we are getting so much of subsidy schemes for both the beginners as well as those who have already started and would like to go to the secondary level. Dr. Srikanth, can you see my slide?
No, sir.
No. Oh, okay. All right.
Sir, you open your presentation.
Yeah. Now is it okay?
Yeah. Yes, sir. Now you make it full screen, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. So, I know, this is a very debatable topic as well, because usually when I started my research with the recirculating system, initially, actually, I happened to come to aquaculture system, especially recirculating, because I wanted to rear my PhD's fish, which was grouper, Epinephrylus fuscogutatus, the orange spotted grouper. I faced so much of difficulty to keep that fish alive in Malaysia. That time, we wanted to change the water every day, since institute was in the coastal area, we were getting plenty of clean seawater. But in the ammonia and other issues came up. That's where my supervisor told, why don't we make a system of our own? So there we started working closely with assembly, system designing, volume ratio calculation and all. So that was my beginning to come into this recirculating aquaculture system. But then I started getting a small interest on, why don't, we plan to, develop the aquaponics also together with RAS, rather than changing even 1% of water. If we can save out of that, that will be tremendous. So that's the reason why, I switched over from the recirculating aquaculture system to one step ahead to aquaponics. I know always it's a debatable topic, that whether it is always what we call, whether it is profitable to the farmer or not. That is the big question. From my experience, I feel that is, yes, it is profitable. That's why purposely I have put the topic also that, backyard, let's just start with a small unit. Let's get some hands-on to it, some experience to it, enlarge it to commercial units where we do it scientifically. If we go to, I should speak more about Kerala because I have seen aquaculture more in Kerala only. My experience in India is very less because I worked abroad most of the time. But I should say is, when I came back to Kerala, I could see that there are so many issues coming up in the sense that so many systems are available, but most of them are incomplete. That's the main reason why there is a statement, regular statement, there is a very common statement saying that aquaponics may not be feasible in a commercial scale. So that's why I would like to bring, the more interest towards why is it that we are failing and which area is what is, we need some more improvement so that, we can make this particular thing into a successful one. So I would like to get into the system aspect more than, okay. So this is some which I purposely put it here that, what do we eat nowadays, which is healthy or not. You could see some values here. This is actually some reports from the Kerala government where, agriculture products were taken from all the markets, all the 14 districts in Kerala. We evaluated that. And, these are some of the values, which I do not want to spend much of the time. And just to show that, including at the national level, even we are more, in a worse situation as well. You could see that, most of the values are actually crossing the limits. So coming back to fish, what happened? A lot of production is happening at particular places, but when it comes to the proper transportation as well as marketing side, we are losing our control and we are ending up with usage of so much of adulterants, especially in the preservation, especially for long-term or storage purposes and transportation. This is the area where, we ended up getting so much of infected fish, contaminated fish, especially from these toxic materials. So you could see that more than 20,000 kilograms, we are being just dumping out. You could see that. Look at one part of the world where people are even not having, enough income to eat one meal a day. And we are actually just throwing out 20,000 kilograms of fish, which is a quality protein, we call it, which is the cheapest, best quality protein, we call it. But, where are we missing out? So somewhere something is getting wrong. So that means, whatever we get from the market, we need to certify it that saying that, okay, this is clean. Now the ICR SIFT has developed a kit also where the Kerala government is buying that to readily check it out whether the products are contaminated or not. So that's where, aquaponics or such kind of aquaculture systems play a major role, saying that you don't need a certification, but it is 100% sure that the product is free of so-called insecticides or pesticides or any kind of protectants, because anything you add it, the fish will die definitely in the system. So indirectly, we can say that it is a certified product, that it is free of so-called insecticides and pesticides. Getting back to the topic, aquaponics, we know that there will be a fish component as well as a vegetable component. And we can generally culture fish and vegetables together in aquaponics in 3 ways. One is the nutrient film technique, which you might have seen in most of the YouTube videos. There are fascinating videos are available on YouTube saying, these pipes are available where you will be drilling holes and putting up small plastic cups where, you generally grow up these anthuriums and orchids. So those cups are enough where you have a netting structure and it allows the water to penetrate, and you can put up any simple materials like charcoal is available. Clay balls, expanded clay balls are available. These are all very cheaply available materials, even including the so-called metal, small pieces where we use it for cement, so-called fabrication materials. All those materials, we can use it for these NFT systems. Nutrient film technique, as the name indicates, it is actually just flowing of water in a thin film of water. So from that, the nutrients will be absorbed by the plants and the water will be coming back into the fish pond. So NFT can be done both in hydroponic system, using especially in a fish in a system where your chemicals can be used, or in an aquaponic system where fish waste will be the nutrient. Another one is the media based. So the first one is nutrient film technique. Another one is media based system. So media based, you could, the name itself shows that some media is there. That's why you could see that large quantity of material is filled inside where the plants can be kept in position, and they will be absorbing the nutrients from the water flowing in between, right? So the third one will be the floating raft, where you can provide structures where you can put holes over it, and the same structure like NFT system, you can put the cups inside and let the leafy vegetables grow over it. So all the 3 systems are equally working good. Only the floating raft issue is, if you put it above the fish tank, what will happen is the fishes would love to go and nibble the soft roots. So the best thing is you can actually keep a barrier or take a separate tank where you can have this deep water systems available, right? These are some of the figures which we keep it in above our house. You could see this is actually from Cochin, one house, a simple FRP tank. There are some pipes for these. These are simple structures which are allowing the water to simply flow, just to increase the flow rate speed. If the material is filled completely, there might be some flow restrictions available, so they have kept structures like this. You could see the cut barrels, 200-liter barrels are actually cut open, wide open, and kept upside down, where the structure is actually the iron structure is providing the support. So you could see that it is a lady's finger is there. This is actually another FRP tank where actually you are letting the structure to grow over a stand. You could see that. So this is a much more beautified structure actually. And another one is actually the IBC tank. The chemical tanks have come. And these tanks actually this is actually the chemical which we bring it to industrial purpose. And these tanks are actually used for growing the fish, and the water will be pumped over to above structures. I will show another picture actually later on, which is actually much, another version using it effectively. Okay, so when we look at these structures, you could see that, wide open, larger structures are available, and which is actually made of FRP. So most of these tanks can be made by these FRP structures, and to have a barrier so that, this, you could see that it is actually giving an extra strength to keep the structure not to be, wide open. And you could see that climbers are even used inside these structures. Why? Because climbers are good. And the best advantage of being, growing climbers is you can just keep the root here and let the climbers spread over to other areas. I mean, if you just let the climber grow over, you will be, restricting in the sunlight reaching other plants. So the best option is to keep the climbers on the other side. I mean, just giving other places to grow them. You could see what is it. These are all, cement cisterns, the small rings we use it for making well. So we can use that also for aquaponic structures. So what does it mean? Can we have a small system as a hobby? Let me see how the fishes, how the vegetables respond to it, and then we go to a commercial level. These are all railings available now in the market, which we can use it for small to large scale purposes, like 2 pipes, 10 pipes, 20 pipes. This is about 5 meter to 6 meter long structures are available. Okay. Nowadays, the most commonly available NFT channels are actually made out of PVC pipes. This is 5 years easily, there will not be any issues until unless we are actually not making any physical damage to it. So these are actually self-standing, and you could see that these structures are getting a balance out of the iron stand is there. So that is actually protecting from getting, until unless, we do not want any pressure to come and, bend the pipe. So until unless that is there, these pipes can easily stand more than 5 years. And another one trouble can happen is because of the sunlight. So, we can actually restrict the sunlight by providing 30% green net shading and all. This also I came across recently, but I put it purposely because this is for beautification. I will say not really for a commercial scale, just to give a message that how much plastics have been used and all, but not really in a commercial scale. Okay, so what do we have in an aquaponic system? Because whenever we come across, we generally hear that there are a plant keeping part that is called as a hydroponic unit. There is a fish rearing system, we call it an aquaculture tank is there. But generally people do not talk about this system. There is a filter which is compulsory, which is very important to have, because these filters are a very integral part of the aquaponic system, and that plays a major role and affecting the productivity as well. General comments, I would love to highlight it initially itself, because general statements are there regarding the aquaponics they are very expensive. No doubt, of course it is. Cannot balance the nutrient requirement of the plants. That means you are required to supply a lot. That's what the general comment is. And too high operational costs. That's what one major comment I myself, heard when I was letting my MPhil student to work with a project. And, this was the comment generally we come across with when we were working with farmers. And the production not matching with the normal agricultural system. I will show you some of the videos where, the tomatoes and other crops, how then you can evaluate yourself. How does it, feel it. High energy requirement, electricity is plenty, you need to spend so much of electricity for it, whether it is profitable or not. That is again another question. It's a bit debatable question, I know. But then, simple design, where we have to look at each and every aspect of things we assemblage, we use it in an aquaponic system have to be taken care. This is the first example. Imagine the inlet into a fish tank is at one place, rather than, I mean, you're supposed to diversify or make it many inlets coming into the system. If the tank is larger in size, you're not supposed to put your inlet in one corner. What will happen is your fishes all will come and aggregate in one particular area. Aggregation means, right, there will be having so much of aberrations, they have got spines, or they can attack small, they get injured initially, and those injuries can lead to secondary infections and lead to trouble for the farmer. So we could see that always there will be a good quality of water lying near to the inlet area, and obviously the poorest quality will be in the outlet area. So the fish tend to aggregate in particular area. We do not want any kind of aggregation happening itself. So that itself shows that you are supposed to check your system in the basic aspects first. So we generally forget to look at our own system. And imagine what will happen if we have a system where your inlets are multiple and outlets are multiple, where you do not let the fishes or the water quality to degenerate or to deteriorate in any particular area. Proper mixing and other kind of systems are provided. Obviously, there will be uniform quality of water, and we do not want them to aggregate also. So less aggregation, less injuries. That's the simple basic concept I'm talking about. Now, another major issue where generally coming across with an aquaponic system is your productivity. We look at a very simple system. We know that all the plans, because I'm talking about some basic stuff also together, because there will be some beginners. So I do not want to let them have a topic which they do not really understand. So I will, I will just quickly go through the basic, and then I will go to the topic as well. So this is actually a bell siphon. There is a bell siphon is a structure which is actually allowing the water to come inside. Imagine this is your bed where you plant your plants, and this is the media we provide. And imagine the plants are kept over here, and the roots are growing between all the substrate. And what will happen is we are supposed to have the water come up, and if the water is kept prolonged and the roots are submerged in the water for a longer duration, and especially, right, we are going to grow tomato, brinjal, all lady's finger, cucumber, all, be long beans and all the vegetables which are terrestrial. And how come they are able to survive in a water condition? This is actually, the siphon is actually helping for that. So bell is actually a type of siphon. There are many types of siphons working. So this siphon is actually helping the particular system. What is that? I'll just come across. So what we need is a water flowing system into our system. The inlet is bringing water into the aquaponic stuff where the vegetables are being kept. So what will happen is the water will flood, and we are supposed to have a time when the water goes down, and that's the time where your oxygen from the atmosphere is actually providing oxygen to the, or the atmospheric air provides oxygen to the roots. So we know that this particular function, if it is not working, will aquaponics be profitable? Never, right? So you could imagine that the fish management is important. The system is important. Now, looking at the simplest and one of the most important part is the siphon. And that siphon, if it is not working, what will happen? You could imagine, right? We'll see these slides once again, actually, that time. What is the major issue? One issue is actually when you have your siphon not cutting off. That means you could see that always flooding is happening. Imagine a plant is kept here. The roots are submerged in the water for prolonged condition. So what will happen is obviously low productivity, because the roots will start getting deteriorated, or any kind of issues can come up when the roots are submerged in the water for longer duration. You are expecting 5 kilograms, 6 kilograms per square meter, and then you are getting 2 kilograms or 1.5 kilograms. You could imagine where the production went and why, because your siphon was not working properly. So is it the system wrong or the concept wrong? The system went wrong, not the concept wrong, right? So aquaponics is not the issue. Here the issue is your system had an issue, not the concept of growing vegetables is not profitable. What we can do is we can actually change your inlet size. Just one issue is just change the inlet or increase the flow rate. Right? Just provide a better flow rate, and what will happen is you will have your siphon open, and then the water cutoff happens. And what you can see, this function will be keep on happening where the water is coming up, flood is happening, and there is a drain. So this particular mechanism is called the flood and drain mechanism. Because of this flood and drain mechanism is the reason why aquaponic plants are able to survive in a condition where plenty of water is flowing through their roots. So imagine such a simple step, but having any issue, you could imagine everything is in trouble. When your siphon doesn't work at all, what will happen? You see, there is water level always lying at that bottom region. What will happen is the plants are here, root is there growing between the substrate. Sunlight is heavy, sunlight is coming up during daytime, right, at 8 to 9 hours, easily we get sunlight in some places. So obviously what will happen is the roots will start pressure, right? What kind of pressure is, drying, the leaves getting, drooping. So all these issues will come up. So if the flooding is an issue, the drought is also again a same issue. So this flood and drain mechanism should work very clearly. Now you look at the inlet water is too much. Now what is actually happening is water from the inlet is actually directly coming very quickly to the siphon area and it is not getting cut off. I'll show you, how does this mechanism work out. I'll show you later on, right? So now what we can do is we can actually change the inlet size. Just reduce the speed of the water coming into your hydroponic trough a little bit. Then you could see that water is actually coming up. And then, obviously because of the speed, we can actually regulate this mechanism to work out perfect, right? Obviously, so the roots getting prolonged exposure without water and with water, both are actually troublesome, which effectively eventually result in low productivity. So I could see, many of the system, whenever I visit to the farmers, I could see that their major issue is actually, one among the major issue is the siphon issue. Okay, siphon was not working properly. So can we reduce or cut short the cost? If we just look at this mechanism where, there are simple structures actually. You see, tube siphon, there is another siphon called the tube siphon. Imagine there is a so-called, media guard is there where you do not want our media to fall into this particular area. And you kept a U-tube where, just you see, there is a U-tube, the tube is there and tube is actually coming into, so there's one hole which is put here and that will decide the height of the water level to reach. See, well, that is the height of the water level to reach our substrate. So above that, we don't want the water level to come up. So what will happen is when the water ultimately come through the inlet, it will enter through the pipe and it will come through the pipe and come down. Because of once the water flows through this lowering area, that particular area will have a gravitational pull and the water will be pulled down completely. So that's the reason why we call it as again a siphon, right? So that will let the water come up to that particular area, then again go down. So there is a drain, flood, drain. Now, what is the difference between these two structures? Can we cut short anything with the costing, or can we look at some economic point of view? Let us see. How do we manage the siphon? Siphon is actually letting the water come out of the pond and let the water fill the pond in particular fashion that there is an interval that the water touches the root, come up, have a flood, then it drains out, let the atmospheric air reaches the roots. So this particular mechanism, do we need to install in all the pond or not, all the tank or not? I mean, individual plant troughs, do we need or not? See, one siphon is connected separately for all the troughs. So this will cut short the cost, right? So this is actually called as a mechanism where we can cut short so many unnecessary expenses coming inside an aquaculture system. You see, it's such a long system. Yes, a huge aquaculture bed, aquaponics bed. Yes, you can have an individual unit. Otherwise, small troughs we need not to provide. So that will cut short a lot of expenses required. How much? Just look at it. If we make a bell siphon, what are the components required? We need a so-called bulkhead. This is called a bulkhead, or we call it a tank connector. Scientifically, we call it as bulkhead, but I don't know, locally we call here that as the tank connector because we use it for tank connecting purpose. So we have a local name for that. It's a tank connector. So because I said both names is because some places, people will not be able to understand what do we mean that. Okay, so the bulkhead or so-called tank connector, which is somewhere around 35 rupees to 25 to 35 rupees is there for 1 inch. So you could imagine what will be the higher cost for a larger size. Okay, now we need 2 FTI. That is the female thread adapter, which is to be connected on both ends, and a T is required. So between the T and the FTA, the female thread adapter, we need a PVC pipe again. So you could imagine the cost for one bell siphon. Or we can do, instead of just FTA, we can actually, there are T's available with a thread, you can connect it directly. So these are the possible ways where you can actually cut short the costing. But imagine this whole structure is repeating for every tank. For a smaller unit, there are even aquaponics tanks where systems which I have seen in using the paint buckets. So one plant per paint bucket. So that is actually a larger plant with so many smaller plants. herbs are being kept, like mint leaves, coriander leaves are kept together. Okay, so those structures actually will be a big loss if we try to connect each bucket with a system like this. So can we connect bucket systems with one siphon for 4 or 5 tanks together? We can actually save the cost of the whole structure, right? So we can actually cut short. It's not that very expensive units only can be made out of aquaponics system, right? Great. Okay, one more thing. What are the components required? If it is a bell siphon, obviously we need a bell-shaped PVC pipe, which is actually shown here. You could see that it's a bell-like, just like a PVC pipe kept covered with an end cap. So that particular cap is it's kept between the first and the third pipe. So that is called the bell. That is actually, you could see that it is actually called as a pipe with it is covered with an end cap. So this is again another type of bell siphon. You could see that there is no media guard. What is that? The bell siphon is kept outside. All this while we have seen in the photo was the bell siphon is kept inside the tank. Now we can actually keep design the bell siphon outside the tank also. All right. Now it's very clear here. Yeah. What is the bell? Bell is actually, you could see that it's like a bell, the hood of the bell, right? Now you have got a pipe with so many holes inside. This is called media guard. See, this design itself is a wrong design. You see, the media guard need not to have openings on the top region. Why? We do not want the water from the pipe inlet flow directly through these holes and reach the central point. What we want is, what we are expecting is the water to filter through the bed available and enter through these holes in the lower area. So it's better to show, or better to have the holes only on the top, on the bottom region, not on the top. So see, such a simple system, it affects the quality. What is the difference? What will happen if the holes are on the top also? There are more likely chance 50% of the water will easily escape out without filtering or without going through the bed. So this is actually again a small lapse of the system perfection, right? Right. Okay. Now, what about tube siphon? This is a simple system which is constructed just beside our university. The very good invention by one of the farmer. I think he's attending the class as well. So he actually designed himself this. It's a nice technique. You see this, he had put one hole on the side only. And from that, the pipe is actually, you see the tube is going down and getting connected, which we have seen here. Seen here, this is the system. The water is actually, because of the gravitational pull, the water is flowing down, right? Just reducing the cost by means of a simple techniques, right? Right. Now, let us see what is the principle of aquaponics is. We know that there are fish waste, that is ammonia, the nitrogen waste, which is actually being supposed to be used for the growth of the plants. We don't generally, plants do not definitely grow with the ammonia content. Obviously, they look at the nitrate part, where that part is actually done by the beneficial bacteria. That is the AOBs and NOBs, ammonia oxidizing bacteria and nitrite oxidizing bacteria. So these both people will play the role in converting the toxic ammonia to NO3. So intermediate NO2 is actually very toxic. So always any system which you run through, actually it will have a nitrite toxicity initially. So we do not want that toxicity to happen. Is again, we have so many strategies. We don't let the water circulate for a few weeks, then only we start going for running the system with the plants and fishes. So those kind of strategies can be adopted where we do not have any chance of toxicity from or spike from any of these nutrients, right? Obviously, dissolved nutrients are what we require. This is the most important statements. We do not want any physical waste to reach the trough. I'll show you some photographs actually. There are coming up later on where, they have good productivity going on. Still, there are so much of waste. So you could imagine if those waste is also removed, what will be the better productivity? So you could imagine that we can say that the aquaponic systems can equally match systems which is actually matching the normal agricultural systems, provided your system is very perfect, right? Okay, I'll just skip these parts, because we would love to see the topics of the interest. Yeah, these things reduce the cost of operating aquaponics, where we do not want water loss, high nutrient absorption. Yep, all these things are okay. Secondary plant crop. Rather than having one unit or one crop, it's better to have more than one crop. So obviously, aquaponics helps us to have that system. Now, do we need any sump. This is again a question. Why do we need sump inside a system? This is the basic system. We generally go for aquaponic systems where, some areas where when we have a larger hydroponic bed, we do not want the unit or the fish tank to have less volume in the fish tank, because we will be taking 30% of the bed, right? Because it's 70% is the material or what we use for so-called meeting the substrate. So the 30% is water. So we will lose the 30% of the water from the fish tank, and the volume of the fish tank will be lower at a particular time where, we do not want to stress the fish, because we want the maximum productivity, maximum growth to happen inside fish tank as well. So that means we can have a sump tank to let the water level adjusting, so that we have an overflow system where the fish tank will never have a lower water volume, and always the water level can be adjusted in the sump tank. Okay. Now clarifiers are there, the physical filtration units. I'll show you some examples again. Those clarifiers are very important because clarifiers will separate all the waste, solid waste coming from the fish tank to not to reach your hydroponic units. Okay. All these degassing units will discuss where, the circulating motion, aeroxy balls, or even we call it as bioballs, we use it. All these materials can be used for degassing units. All these units actually help in letting the water perfect for the plants to grow. And what is the issue? Why the highlight is, if the clarifier is not good or the solid physical filtration unit is not good, your physical filtration unit have to be perfect. Until unless what will happen is all the units will be filled with the waste. So sometimes farmers call, and send us a photo saying that, sir, my bed is actually having good growth of bacteria. Then I'll ask, could you please tell me, what happened or how you are able to evaluate it? Sir, I could see the, particulate mass of growth of algae, sorry, the bacteria growing inside the gassing units as well as in the between the substrate. That shows that there are so much of flaws in your physical filtration unit. It's not the bacteria which is actually growing on your system. It is actually the fecal matter, unfed, everything coming from the fish tank. So that shows that your system needs to have a better physical filtration unit, right? Right. We have gone through this. Okay. What all we expect through our solid waste, which, right? This is the fecal matter, some unfed waste is there, some leftover fish, we didn't see them across. Later on, we found them also flowing through or coming out through the physical filtration unit. So you could see that the size of the particulate matter is also very high. That shows that your physical filtration unit have to be perfect. And why we do not want that colonization to happen? Because any deterioration happen, they will use up the oxygen. And we do not want the plants to have any kind of stress because of the oxygen content is less, because too much of absorption by the decomposition happening between the roots. We do not want that to happen. And that will let so many other organisms to colonize as well. So anoxic condition, we do not want any sludge to decompose and generate or anoxic condition, right? Which obviously eventually can lead to the H2S or ammonia production, which is very toxic to the fish. Already discussed already, right? We do not want the plant roots to have any anaerobic zones that actually let the microbial colonization to happen. Obviously, some mineralization, which is also important. Mineralization, obviously, when the water is flowing through these waste particles, some mineralization, that means some dissolving of the minerals happen into the fish culturing water, and that minerals can be absorbed by the plants as well. That's the reason why we do not say aquaponic grown systems are organic, because we will provide definitely the fish feed, and that fish feed contains all the minerals and vitamins which are of chemical origin, and those minerals actually can leach out into the water, and they can be absorbed by the plants as well. Obviously they will, and that's the reason why we don't call them aquaponics units as organic. Okay, but we can say that it's chemical free or so-called chemical not added such systems, right? All right, yeah, we'll just quickly go and see. Okay, many times farmers complain, how do they make simplified structures so that your physical filtration units can be made? These are all simple structures, and YouTube videos are available, so many photographs are available online, such simple systems, how they collect the waste materials. But why in spite of having all these, why the farmers are having lack of production or their productivity is affected? Because the periodicity of cleaning these waste collecting mechanisms. Because whenever we come across any aquaculture systems, aquaponic systems, we generally see that their hydroponic bed, I mean the vegetable trough, is completely filled with physical waste. And that physical waste will actually eventually, even though they release some minerals for mineralization purpose, it's fine. But other than that, imagine there is any kind of power failure, any kind of such, less water flow rate or any condition, they will be having a lack of oxygen enough for those plants to have the best productivity. And that's the reason why these cleaning or so-called physical filters have to be cleaned properly, right? So there are, you could see that there are, devices where, you could collect the waste accumulated. So only thing is the farmer should have an idea that so the extension service is so important that in India, we have to educate our farmers that the technique you use is okay. Only thing is, the management has to be improved a little bit. That's it. We have got very good systems available here. Only the that extension service part we have to moderate a little bit and make sure that let them know that why and what is actually happening into a system. So just look at this system. Actually, you could see that there is a basket being kept and the water from the fish tank is coming, and there is a swirl coming because of the two angle PVC joints are connected, so there will be a circular motion coming in. Now what will happen is they are supposed to have a plastic or so-called sponge materials, so the filtration, and that filtered water will actually escape through the sponge, come out and go through this pipe to the bed. Now what happens is there are the coming out material, there are smaller particles actually, and those smaller particles are supposed to settle at the bottom because of all there is no suction or a heavy push coming out. So that's the reason why where we can say that there are more likely chance the particles can come and settle down, and that particulate matter must be able to be collected on and off in a particular interval, and that particular interval can be defined only by looking at the stocking density, how much feed you are giving, how strong is your pump, and many other things, right? So this is very important for the farmer to see that, and that's the reason where I have seen that many farmers are failing here, looking at how often they clean their filters, right? So the best option is to design a system where you have multiple units and you clean your system one day and not the system, all other systems on the same day, because you do not want the ammonia spike to come up, because any ammonia settled here inside will be leached out, or there is a sudden disturbance and those ammonia is going back into your bed. So let the washing system also, when we wash these filters, we have to tell the farmers that not to disturb the system and not the water to be flowing in a condition when you are changing your filter. To block your filter and wash it, rinse it off, clean it, and then only start the system where you are filling up new water. We do not let the contaminated water to reach your bed. So these kind of simple movements, simple steps, we can actually let the system, run very perfect. This is again another system. You could see that the incoming water from the fish tank, it's just, connected to a U system where, water is divided into two sides where there is a small filter. There is a water coming from the top to the bottom. Here the gravitational pull is there. See, so these 1, 2, 3, 4 can actually filled with the different materials. So basically the 4 will have a better system with a larger substrate size, and the 1 will be the smallest size, because the larger particles get settled on the top and the smallest particle will settle on the bottom. This is again a very big mistake done by the farmers. They do it the other side. It's the lack of extension service, I would like to say. The people who go and set up an aquaponic system should have an idea what they are doing first. They should have an idea that the filtration should be, or the filtering material should be arranged in such a way that the smaller particles should be settled later and the larger particles should be settled at first itself, so that it won't clog initially. Imagine it is put on the other side. If the smallest sized sponge is kept on this size, obviously this will get clogged initially. So this is again a serious trouble I have seen, with the farmers. Now here also there is a drain system where, we can actually collect it. Or once the water is filtered through these 1, 2, 3, 4 filters, there is again another filtering material to be kept here, and the filtered water actually moves back into the fish pond or to the so-called our hydroponic unit. Nowadays, there are ready-made tanks available, which the farmer need not worry. Looking at the design of everything, these kind of structures are all kept together. There is you could see that there is a base where it's a concave, where there is a slope, so all the waste will come to the center. It is again naturally having a swirl. You could see what we have seen in the previous slide. So all the waste is collected here, and you can collect in collection point is also there, right? There are multiple other accessory things also to be connected if you want. So-called, another canister filters can be kept or structures, anything, to aid the filtration system best. Okay. So these aquaculture products are also available in the market now. Okay, this is typically one example where you can actually, this is one example showing the bell siphon kept outside the system where 3-4 times one bell siphon. This is, you could identify what is this. Is actually a T joint, like 2.5 inch T joint or 3 inch. This is I think 3 inch T, and a pipe is kept. So it is actually the outer pipe where you don't need to put any hole because the water is not coming here. Water is actually coming through this pipe and entering here. So this T bottom we have put a hole and a tank connector is connected here. Bell siphon for all the 4 or 5 tanks. So this kind of systems can be advantageous, and we can cut short the costing as well. You could see that after the siphoning, you could see the water is gradually falling into the fish pond, right? This is again, you could see the another pond which is near to our university. What they have done is they have dug out the land, and once the sand, mud is being taken up, they have filled it in the gunny bags and kept it, and over that they have put a tarpaulin of 400 to 500 GSM. So that is one another way to cut short the cost. Okay, what is the filtration material and how do we arrange it? This is very important. Many farmers, they are not aware at all about this aspect. When they call, they say, sir, I have got a perfect filtration system, sir, but my plants are not giving better production. Why? Then just one simple question. Can you just look at your system where you have planted your plants, remove one handful of just your substrate and see what is inside. Other than substrate, do you see a black material or dark brownish color material? Yes, sir, that's enough. Your filtration system is not arranged properly. We can't say it's wrong. It's not arranged properly. So just make some changes so that water do not let water to escape through the corners. So we have to design it such a way, the shape it such a way that your filter material will filter perfectly the water and let the water after filtration only escape the system, and not the filter materials as well. Okay. Biofiltration is required. Obviously, yes. Even though our bio media or the media substrate media will be absorbing some of the nutrients from the water, but it's good to have our biofiltration unit as well, because the amount of waste which is coming out of the fish tank is so high that we are supposed to have a biofiltration unit as well. The size actually plays a major role, because the combination of plants also plays a major role, because there are plants which have got a better absorption spectrum than other plants. So mixing combination of such plants, what is the ratio required? All these things have to be worked out, right? What do we use it inside a biofilter? Like these small plastic balls where they provide simple surface area for the microbes to colonize. If imagine we just forget to throw out the water from the washroom bucket, you could see that tomorrow there will be a slime of something, growing on the walls of the bucket. That is the 1-day growth. So you could imagine 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, all water flowing through these balls. How much quantity of microbes can grow on these? But if your physical filtration is not good, what will happen is where supposed to be the bacteria to grow, the fecal matter of the fish, the unfed, all those particles will be coming and settling over. So do you think there will be biofiltration happening? So sometimes farmers call, no? So I have got 3 buckets of or 3 drums of biofilter working, but my ammonia is not going down. The same question I ask, can you just take one handful of your biofiltration material and see how much of waste is accumulated inside? So it's not waste, it is actually bacteria. Then again, we have to go and tell them that bacteria do not colonize in huge, lumps. It's actually the waste. So this is so much of, waste generation happening inside your physical filtration. And if it is not properly done by your physical filtration, all these functions will not work. And you will have spiking of ammonia, spike of nitrite, and then, the productivity also go down. Now, what happens is, let's say the ammonia is going high. First thing you will tell your farmer is, sir, reduce your feeding. See, your fish will be growing less, obviously, because of the less water quality. Then the food is also less available. There will be having these kind of issues generally come across and can be avoided by slight intervention and looking at the system, or just improvement of the systems. Obviously, we need, sometimes farmers call that their structures are breaking off. Obviously, that is actually lack of calculation, right? You're supposed to calculate how much weight of material you are going to carry over. Obviously, the aggregates, when we use these cement structures and all, those aggregates are heavy actually. So that's the reason why we can go for our clay balls. These are the expanded clay balls. So they're available in India also. Gujarat, we are actually manufacturing is going on, right? Obviously, we do not want the clogging of any areas where the water will overflow. So that is again a trouble, and we have already discussed about this deterioration due to anaerobic zone and all. Okay, raft already we discussed that the too much of zooplankton will come and the bacterial colonization can happen between the roots, and we do not want the waste to be settling over that, right? That's the reason why we do not want the raft to happen, is because the raft can have such a technique. Only thing is, if the physical filtration is good, there is no problem with the raft. Okay, another one is the fish will go and nibble the soft roots. That is also again discussed. Some already we discussed that what is the need for that, and the construction of materials. We know that all the materials are available. That fiberglass, obviously, then fiberglass, life is more. That's a fiberglass FRP. That's a lifelong unit is there, but the cost of the material is again a trouble. Then can we have these tarpaulin tanks? Nowadays, more than 1,000 GSM tanks are also available in plenty. So we can use those structures actually. It's not necessary that all are dug out. These kind of structures are also nowadays in Kerala plenty actually. Up to 10 meter I have seen in Trivandrum. 12 meters are there in central part of Kerala. Even I heard about that also, but I have not seen myself. But imagine 12-meter diameter of tanks nowadays popularly making. So today one farmer has sent me a photograph saying that 6 tanks of 10-meter diameter tanks and 12 numbers of 10-meter diameter ponds. So people are coming into aquaculture a lot. So you could imagine that especially when we have so much of schemes available from the government, people are coming and getting attracted to this scheme. This is the so-called IBC. It is a chemical tank, chemical used to come to the companies, industrial grade, and then we can wash it and use it. You could see that the lid is being cut open and just kept above. I will show you another picture. In the lid, actually, we can grow the vegetables, right? Only trouble is, it used to be very cheaply available. That's why I put it in the red color also. It used to be available very cheap, but nowadays there is a name for this tank. It's no more IBC tank. In Kerala, if you go to and ask, is there any IBC tank? They will ask, what is that? If we have to ask them, do you have an aquaponics tank? Then they will say, yes, sir, I have got. See, so this tank has got a label now is aquaponics tank, and the price have gone higher, even 2,000 to 3,000 rupees for 1,200 liters. So that's again a trouble of marketing. Okay. Too much of exposure, direct sunlight may not be very good because it can get brittle in course of time. This is what I said, the fiberglass reinforced plastic materials. Any design, any shape, even I have seen people making swimming pool inside house made of FRP. So any shape is available. The first slides I have shown you on the terrace of the house, the structures were made, small structures. You could see these larger systems are also available, right? Okay, important part. What do we grow inside an aquaponic system? We have got all the terrestrial plants. I just quickly go to because I'm running short of time, 24 o'clock. Okay, the leafy vegetables, yes, flowering plants. A couple of students have done project with the cabbage and cauliflower as well. They have got good result. See, all the chilies, brinjal, long beans, all are actually working properly. I mean, the productivity is good enough compared to the normal systems. Pesticides, impossible. We are not supposed to use any pesticide because ultimately what will happen is the rainwater will, or the, when it will be washed over into the fish tank and the mortality can happen to the fish. So we are not supposed to use any kind of pesticides or insecticides. Biodegradable, biological or such kind of things can be used. Actually, we had a few systems running near the university and we consulted them to have these small ants where they restrict the entry of small worms. So such kind of systems were successful with that particular system. So these kind of natural repellents, or such kind of things can be, or the physical barriers can be used to have these traps, or even the traps can be kept inside the system, so that it's already 100% proof that the system is not using any kind of so-called insecticides or pesticides. Fertilizer, forget about it, right? Any fertilizer is used, that what will happen to the fish. How do we start up these kind of structures are available? This is what I told you earlier. There are small cups available made out of plastic. We use it for orchids and all. We can grow these small pipes, drilled holes, and we can use these cups. This is what the small aggregates. Okay, these aggregates have got an issue. if we use this 1/4 inch, less than 1/4 inch, a quarter of the inch size, there are more likely chance the clogging can happen if your physical filtration has got a small issue. So the best is you can go up to 1 inch size aggregates, and those aggregates will be better than this 1/4 inch. Okay. The productivity was found to be good compared to both 1/4 and 1 inch aggregates. Both results actually gave promising. There were no issues. How about this expanded clay? Obviously, you know, right, the weight of the structure can be very less if we use expanded clays. Obviously, the structure with the when we make a stand to have these structures on proper position, we use heavy structures. Now that structural quality may not be very strong if we tend to use these kind of expanded clay balls, so that, you know, it won't be much heavy. This is again a small submersible pump. We can use it to make the systems working. It starts from 300 liter per hour to, I think the maximum is 16,000 liters per hour. I think in Kerala, I have seen up to 16,000 liters per hour. Submersible, these aquarium pumps. There are, you know, heavy 3 HP, 5 HP pumps are available. I'm talking about the submersible aquarium pumps. These are up to 16,000 is available here. Okay. These are all simple structures for connecting. This is again a submersible filter. We use it inside an aquarium. We can use a couple of them inside our system to filter up, and we just clean it up daily. You know, definitely it has to be daily done. So you could imagine that this is not going to work out for a longer duration. But for a beginning a system in a small, we have got a small area outside house where sunlight is plenty. Go for it, right? Then you can design a system in a larger scale, right? Okay, do we need backup systems, solar systems and battery powered systems? Obviously, yes, we need it. But smaller systems where we keep it inside a shaded area that you get sunlight only for 3 hours or 4 hours, that's fine. But for areas where you get 6 hours plus sunlight definitely daily, then definitely we have to go for a system with a backup. Because any side the water from your hydroponic unit and electricity is gone, then hardly, you know, 3-4 hours will be letting the plants to have the moisture available from that too, the moisture can be absorbed from the material we use as a substrate. That's the reason why, again, the clay ball will hold more moisture than, these clay balls will be holding more moisture than the aggregates. So see, these are all small changes which, you know, eventually make so much of difference at the end. We're talking about all outdoor units. There are systems which we use it for indoor systems as well, because when we conduct experiments with the systems where, you know, we do not want any contamination to happen, or air condition controlled systems are available where you have such systems of value crops, not the cheaply available resources. You know, they go for such materials where we get a premium price also, right? Okay, outdoor unit. This is the IBC tank, the so-called aquaponics tank, where you could see that they are serially connected each other. See, and you could see that the lid is being cut and kept upside down, where you can fill your substrate and have your vegetables inside. Right? See the long bed available. This is actually floating raft. So the water below is actually keep on moving, so that, you know, the water touch through their roots and they will be germinating. Right? I'm sure everybody knows, everybody would love to eat this fish, our Asian sea bass, latest calcarifer. One fish, our state fish of Kerala, is Heteroplus. We have tried them both growing together also. In Cochin, there is a farmer doing it very constructively, going good, no problem so far. Ornamental fishes as well, very good candidate sources, especially these Japanese kois are available now in fingerlings, and, you know, let them grow in our system and market it separately. That will be an additional cost also. All the catfishes are already proven, no problem with the tilapia and anabas. And again, so-called channa marals, I just missed out. There is a farmer in Trivandrum itself, one of our professor from the university itself. He started a small farm, a small aquaponics unit at his home, and that is doing well with the maral, the channa, right? Okay, and these are all accessories we require it, and, you know, I will just quickly wind up. The filters we use it, these are all available online, so there is no problem All the videos are available online, how to make it, fabricate it, what to be taken care of. Okay, now let me come back to the counter comments, which I have said up initially. Obviously, expensiveness, we have discussed already 3-4 items already. How can we cut short the cost of the setup, right? Nutrient supply. I doubt there is any nutrient supply is required so far, because all our research so far have shown that. So let us see this video where you could see that the tomatoes, happily, this farmer just sent me today. Thanks to Anas, he just sent me this afternoon. You could see that's ready for harvest.
Sir, it's not visible.
Video is not visible, sir.
Right away from the plant and
Midun sir, video is not visible.
oh, is it? Oh my God, sorry. Where is the video? Is it visible now?
Yeah,
Okay.
video has to play there, I think. That photo is visible. Yeah.
Is it okay? I proceed for 10 more minutes?
Yes, yes.
10 more minutes.
Yeah.
Srikanth, is it visible?
No, sir.
No, something is wrong.
Sir, it is not come. It does not come.
Okay, I'll just keep it there. No problem. Let's go back.
You can stop sharing, and then again you can go after starting the video.
Sharing is stopped now, Vishwajit.
Yeah, I just stopped sharing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's stopped.
Yeah. Just
Again-
play the.
Again, you can try for sharing now. Yeah, video.
Can you see the folder now? Okay. How is it now?
It's just opening.
Is it coming?
Not yet, sir. Vishwajit.
Sir, the option will be like share your screen.
Yeah, when I do that,
Yeah.
asking me,
Then whatever is there on the screen should come here. Yeah.
say that no share, PowerPoint is there.
So common share your desktop will come. Once you share your desktop,
I'm not getting that option to share my full screen. Generally, we get an option to share the full screen, right?
yeah, you just stop sharing this and again you try, sir.
is there, Google Chrome is there, downloads is there.
There is one option in advanced video.
Advanced. Okay, advanced.
Yeah, you see there is a video, sir.
Video is there.
Yeah. Try that option.
Nothing is required to share a video file. Oh my God.
Is it giving you options?
Yes.
Yeah, something happened.
Is it coming?
Yeah, it came. Sir.
Yeah, great. All right. See, this is just ready for harvest. You could see ripe tomatoes. What he have done, you see the strategy. What he have played here is he has kept the plants. See, the small herbs are there. That means the mint leaves are there. You could see the mint leaves. So one root is there, and he kept the mint leaves as well together, because anyway the plant is growing up, right? So these are all simple strategies played by the farmers so that we get a better crop, multiple crops at the same time. So this shows that the production, there is no issue matching the system outside. No doubt about it. Only trouble is, can we have a better production or not? That's what. Whatever is available now, can we have a better production or not? That's it. So that's where we have to intervene and play a role making the system perfect. Okay, this is the video actually showing the tube siphon. You see, there is only one pipe standing inside the system, and you could see the water level is going down. You could see the pipe now. Water is about to finish. That sound is actually breaking the siphon. Now the water is again coming in because the inlet. Now look at this structure. You see the waste lying together with the media. See, this is actually from the farm. Just now the video has sent. So you could imagine that in spite of having this much physical waste coming to your system, there is a better production happening. So if we can remove this aspect as well, the production can be times better. So that shows, that system, there is no problem. Only thing is, how to make it a perfect system, right? Great. Okay. Is it the slide visible now?
Yes, sir. Coming in between, sir.
Please. So obviously, operational cost again, if we plan properly, we can actually again make the system comparatively efficient and make it better in the second or third cycle. Now, what is the trouble is, again, that's why I put the strike, the strike rate. The strategies is the best thing. How can we plan it such a way that we do not have a time when there is no crop at all? So there should be a rotation system, that you have a system shutting down at one particular area, the other sectors actually should start harvesting. So some of these strategies actually farmers have to adopt such a way that you have a continuous flow of the harvest happening from the system. I think the first few slides I have shown a system where we have got 4 fish tanks. So that shows, rather than having a big one tank system, always it's better to stock your fish in a few tanks so that you can have a system where you keep harvesting it from the tank every 2 months from the particular tank. So these kind of, strategies will help, these kind of systems to be in a profitable manner. Energy requirement, again, we have a better system where we don't need too much of siphoning rate and all. Cycles can be controlled, how many number of cycles to be kept. Those things, you can manage it and let the energy system. I remember visiting a farm in Trivandrum only. That place we have seen is, what they did was they made and actually the blessing was that the land was actually inclined. So what they did was they have a better pumping ratio and put the water on top of the land, and the water was gravitational force, the water was flowing down. So every 3 minutes the fish tank the overhead tank will get filled, and the next 8 minutes they were getting a pause. That means for the next 8 minutes the pump was not working. So within 24 hours, every 3 minutes they're having a pause of 8 minutes. So in long run, if you calculate it, the cost of the energy can be made less. So these kind of interventions from our side, if we can help the farmer, I think we can make these systems very profitable and no issues at all, right? Future side, now I let a few students work with, but the results are yet to come out. We did not get a good result because of the we had some issues with the rain and all, we unexpected, so we couldn't complete that project. So that is actually going on. The work is actually looking at different plant varieties. Let the tomato or the brinjal or green so-called long beans and climbers and shrubs or herb, which plant has got a better absorption spectrum. Whether these plants, can we have it combination, a 3 tomato plus 2 chili or such kind of combinations be better, or flowering plants are better with leafy vegetables. So those kind of combination studies to utilize the maximum nutrients with maximum absorption to have a better utilization, effective utilization in mean. Okay. Now another one is where our Coastal Aquaculture Institute is there, where we can look at this. Can we generate some salt tolerant vegetables where we can use it with our so-called marine beautiful species is there, where like sea bass and other species like of marine origin, because whatever sea bass we use it in Kerala is actually we transfer it to fresh water. It's completely freshwater species. So those with in marine waters, if we can have it, like snapper juveniles are nowadays available. SIBA has bred those fishes as well. So those institutes are breeding these fishes, and the juveniles are available for us. Can we have them to have aquaponics of salt tolerance in vegetables are there? Let's look into that. We have a small plan to work closely with some of the botany department here to have any small gene transfer to have it, whether those tomatoes can be made out of seawater. So something like that need to also visualize in future. And another one which we are very keen to work with now is actually integrating the biofloc technology into aquaponics. As the seminar title, the diversification of culture technology. Actually, the concept I would like to show here is actually what we are working now is small biofloc unit. Very simple. You see, this is a fish tank. There is a conical bottom. Water is coming out of the biofloc tank, where the water is connected to the. You see, this is the real picture. This is actually the settling chamber. This is designed by a farmer. You see, the water is actually coming out of this pipe. You could see the central drain. Water is coming and connecting to the drum. And from the drum, obviously, the water level in the fish tank will be followed inside the drum. And the same water level will be followed inside the pipe as well. This U pipe, the water will be coming and staying till here. Now, what is there? You just connect an air pipe. You see, this air pipe is connected here. There is an air pipe going inside, and it will be lifting the water. You could see that water flowing into your fish tank. There is no pump connected, just an aeration unit only. That air is actually airlifting the water flowing back into the fish tank. So can we just let that water without any flock go back to your hydroponics unit, and that will be followed after the hydroponic, it will be coming back to your fish tank, or your sump from there it will be coming to your fish tank. Now, what is the beauty is we do not want the flock, unnecessary loss of flock. There actually we are planning to have a pump, where that pump will be operating every 1 hour, 5 minutes operation, or 1 minute operation, so that all your settled flock will be brought back to your fish tank, or take it outside. Whether if you want to regulate the flock volume, we can just take it outside. You see, there is an outlet opening that if you open this tank, we can collect all the flock. Otherwise, this timer is connected to the pump. We don't need to go and switch on the pump every time. The timer is connected every 1 hour or 2 hours. 1 minute operation of this pump will let all the flock come back to your fish tank, right? So this kind of integration of biofloc and aquaponics is also in progress, right? Summarizing the topic, obviously the best hobby to start with, and that assures our even people staying in multi-level buildings, even your balcony is more than enough to start with, where you can have your plenty of vegetables for your kitchen. and obviously the fish as well. Obviously, there is a guarantee that, as initially discussed, there is no pesticide and insecticide residue or anything to come up. Only thing is, we have to be careful about our pest coming up. And, if the plant is healthy, most of the pest will be kept away. And we have got many other physical devices where we can check the entry of these pests. In by chance, something is coming up, there are in biological pest control mechanisms available. We can use some of them. Obviously, we need to look at this filtration unit, size of the bed, size of the fish tank, etc., so that it will be having a better effect on the productivity as well, right? You could see the beautiful structures kept in this called IBC tanks. This is from the website. They are selling it like this. You see, generally what we do is we buy this IBC tanks, bring it home, bring a person to cut. So we don't need to do that. This is made available by a company, available online actually like this. So you just ready-made, just get it and keep it at home at a balcony and just start culturing, right? This is again a running system. So you could see that, these are all workable things. The one system which we have designed in our institute for studying the combination of plants. This system is expensive because we use these rainwater, harvesting pathways for this. So this is expensive. The better is FRP, that will be cheaper, right? Good. SARC big publication is available with all the basic details available, right? Any comments, anything, most welcome. I should thank the institute for giving me a chance to interact. Thank you so much. Please.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mithun sir. Director sir, any remarks from your side, sir? Parveen Kumar sir.
Sir, you can stop sharing.
Yeah, sure.
I think sir is not there. Triveshi.
Yeah. I request participants to ask their queries and questions from their side. You can ask Dr. Mithun sir to answer. Or even they can write in chat box also. So Sajia can read.
There are some questions in chat box.
Yeah, please, you can read.
Okay, nitrific bacteria are where which is not to be disturbed, sir. Okay, there is no problem. Yeah, that's a good question. Nitrifying bacteria, can we disturb them or not? That's what the question is, I think, Indulkar has asked. See, I remember when I was presenting, I told, no, there are multiple systems to be connected serially or parallelly we can connect. That means when the water is flowing from the fish tank to the physical filter, from the physical filter, it goes through the biological filter and then it comes back to the hydroponics bed. So when that flowing pathway, actually, if we can have multiple systems connected together, we will not disturb the whole system together. What we do is we clean one system one day to let any waste settlement has happened, any waste has come out of the physical filtration material, can we, not disturb the whole bacteria. But actually, when we rinse out, we will be losing so much of our beneficial bacteria as well. So when we do not do, washing all the system together, we can actually keep the system perfect and we do not lose much of the bacteria. And we will not use any chemicals, no soap, no sun drying, nothing. We just rinse it and let the physical waste go away and let the colonized bacteria to be settled over or continue growing over it. Clay balls to be cleaned. Indulkar has asked again. Yes, we have to clean after one cycle. Just now I have shown the video. You could see that how much waste is being lying there, right? I think it is actually after the second crop or third crop. I remember talking to the farmer. So that is actually the accumulated waste, It's always good to have one crop done, clean it over and just resettle it. So that will always help the bacteria to come up and continue the system. Mosquitoes can be controlled biologically. I'm not good in that aspect. But one point I missed out to discuss is, this is a good question that ignited this topic to be discussed. See, when I presented, I was showing that we do not maintain the water level above the biological media, the substrate. Why? We do not want any organism to come and lay the egg so that our bed will be always dry from the top. Because most of these pests get attracted when they get a moisture content in the substrate. So if the top layer of the substrate is always dry, so how can we design that? make sure that whenever you use the system, once the maximum volume where the water level rises up during the flood condition, make sure that you have your substrate above that, so that your top layer will never be wet, and that dried condition will let all the pests, away, and they will not come and lay eggs over that. Okay. I want to say a low cost unit. Can you share any further resources of the same? Plenty of units are available online. I think that's what I can do now. I will be reachable on my mobile anytime. Just call up. We can discuss, no problem. Viable economics, if any. Yes, there are some publications also available discussing about this aspect. But again, the authenticity of the design, I'm doubtful on that aspect. We are working on that aspect, designing a few systems and coming out in another 3-4 months time. I will definitely share it up. That's what the questions so far being asked. Great. Anything more?
One more questions.
One more question. Yes, sir. Where can I get to know about biofloc for prawns? Prawns they are asking.
Sorry, sir. If you don't mind, could you please?
It is there in the chat, sir. So biofloc for
integration. You're talking about integration of biofloc and aquaponics, right?
Yeah.
Yes. See, the biofloc unit, when we don't throw any water out of biofloc, right? We already designed the system in such a way
prawns
that...
they are asking, sir.
Sorry?
Prawns. For prawns they are asking. Where they can get biofloc for prawns.
Yes, it's viable. No problem. It's been already proven. Biofloc and Vanami. And monodon both have been successfully done so far. Are you talking about integrating that system with aquaponics, is it?
They want to know where they can get, who can supply the biofloc.
Question is asking about where can we get the details, or
from where they can get the biofloc.
Biofloc. Oh, okay. Very good question.
Supplier of biofloc.
Very good. There are a few companies, including Tata, also producing the biofloc, commercially available biofloc nowadays available in the market. That is one thing. Or even we can actually make our own flock. Let's say there are, in Kerala, we do not use any farmers working with me with the biofloc. I do not let any farmer use any commercial probiotic. All of them are using their own naturally available biofloc. For that, what we do is we take some healthy ponds available. Because in Kerala, there are 43 ponds, naturally flowing rivers are available. Our water table is not very low. So we have got plenty of ponds available in Kerala. So we use those kind of healthy ponds, especially the temple as well as church ponds, because these, religious ponds people will have a religious belief and nobody will come and dump waste inside that. So those ponds can be selected and used as a source of material for, let's say, algae, zooplankton, and bacteria to generate a flock. It's a good topic to work with. We can have another session on that topic to discuss also. It's a very interesting topic to work with, biofloc and these areas. Flock can be generated ourselves. But if, let's say, natural ponds are not available in some areas, you can go for buying these products available online. Okay. I remember Tata has got one product available. Yep.
So there is one more question.
Yep, sure.
Seabass is done in fresh water or brackish water or sea water. How was the experience?
Very good. You see, this is a fresh water. No, it's not a fresh water. It's a marine species only. But we have bred this. We have reared this larvae to fresh water. So there is no problem with the growth or anything. Only some people are sensitive to taste. That fresh water, they say that that fresh waterish taste is there. Otherwise, the growth wise, we do not have any issues at all. Obviously, the seawater is the best. That's what I heard. I'm a vegetarian, so I don't eat fish, so I'm not able to tell the taste exactly. But when I interact with farmers, they say that there is no problem with the taste at all, and the growth is perfect, no problem. Sorry to say, after talking so much about fish and say that you are a vegetarian, I know what will be the feelings. Please.
Any more questions?
Yeah, I request participants to ask more questions if any queries.
Trivesh sir, we can have one session on biofloc one day.
Yeah, sure.
We'll
Actually,
have
this
one
is
for
the
the farmers.
session we'll continuously going to organize
Great.
because this is the second national campaign on system diversification aquaculture.
Great.
We'll continue organizing such kind of webinar in future also.
Trivesh, we can now go ahead with the final this one, because if some farmers have some doubt, we will share the details of Dr. Mithun Sumaran sir.
Yeah, sure.
Then let them interact also, and we will also coordinate if some person has specific requirement of aquaponics and all those things. Okay.
So there are few questions in chat box.
Yeah, please read.
Please read it.
Can we use aquaponics for commercial fish cultivation?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. I choose, right? I choose to everyone.
Okay.
Yes, it is already proven that it is being, aquaponics being used for commercial fish cultivation, commercial scale. Can you just Google it up in YouTube? There is a video, Palakkad, largest aquaponics in Kerala. You would see the complete video on, how much feed they add, what is the size of the material, they use, what is the thickness of the sheet, every details he has given. Okay, so there is no problem with the commercial scale aquaponic system. Only thing I told, no, like the strategies has to be perfect so that it should match the production. That is there. Yes, brackish aquaponics, this we are working on it. One of my student is working on that aspect actually. He wanted to give the, can we have some of the crops, but most of them are not working properly because they are not salt tolerant. But again, I'm not very sure about any of the vegetables available in locally available which can grow in brackish water or not. Otherwise, it should work 100%. 100% it should work. Only thing, which plants to be selected. That is what we are. That's why I put it in the future aspect. No, can we generate some salt tolerant vegetables? So we need to work closely with some botany department on that aspect. One more question was on top. Okay, parameters. Parameters. That's very important. Good question. I should thank that person. Who is that? Okay, Indulkar again. Yeah. Indulkar, this is a good question because I think I missed out the total discussion on water parameters. See, basically what our system had a major issue is whenever we have the nitrification cycle proceeding, we will have the bicarbonates losing fitness. Microbes will be certainly trapping some of the bicarbonates in the water. And what happens is eventually you will lose a pH drop in the system, and that will make the fish stress. So we have to make sure that our system is actually always having a better alkalinity. So alkalinity has to be brought above, 100, 150 above, so that, you do not have these pH drop quite often, right? And if let's say, somebody who are experienced and, going to a second level only should do such kind of practices that they can have a, denitrification unit. Let 3 or 4 drums kept together, let the water fill inside, let it, stay there for 4 or 5 hours lying idle. Do not, no aeration, no movement, nothing. That anoxic condition can bring back some of your bicarbonates back into the water, and that will let you, don't waste your sodium bicarbonate concentration from the water, or, you have to keep adding some bicarbonates into the water. So that part can be saved. That's the only thing which you have to be taken care. Otherwise, ammonia and nitrite, NO2. That NO3 will not affect your system because always the plants are that they will absorb your nitrate, NO3. But ammonia and NO2 is seriously toxic, and that part you have to be very careful. And that initially is what when you make the system get in trouble. Otherwise, there is no issues with the ammonia and NO2 spikes. So that how to cover up that is, you run the system slowly, and the stocking density can be increased it at a later part. So that is also one source of, how to reducing the chances of spiking of these nutrients in the water. Having a strategy in such a way that you don't soak your full pond full size initially itself. So these kind of strategies can be done. And generally these nutrients spike happen when we have a new system. So new system, what we do is, can we have, running the system for, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, can we run the system so that, the biofilm naturally develop? Can we introduce some source of probiotics into that? So these kind of techniques can be done. So do we need to buy a probiotic or not? That's not very necessary. We all know that there will be, so many WhatsApp group now, social media groups are there. You can interact with some of the other farmers and get some water from their pond for biofloc units. Nowadays, biofloc is available everywhere. If there is no, just ask the first farmer, is there any mortality happening inside your pond? If there is no mortality, that's the best place where you can get the nitrifying bacteria as well as all these nitrosomonas bacteria for your system, right? Other than the dissolved oxygen, all you don't need to measure. definitely that will not happen. Dissolved oxygen, because always the system is running and you have a backup system as well. So definitely you will not lose your dissolved oxygen. Okay. So alkalinity, I will say again, repeating, alkalinity, pH, ammonia, and NO2. That is the most important aspect, right? Great.
Any more questions?
I think I did share my mobile number, right?
Yeah, just to share in chat box, sir.
Okay, there is one question, alkalinity unit. Okay, 150, above 150 ppm is good. 150 or something, yes, 150 and 180, that will be better. In biofloc, we actually put it something around 200 to 220 is the best. But aquaponics, we do not have that much of nitrification cycle going on. So definitely, that is good enough. 150 above is good enough. pH 7.5. Yeah, no, neutral pH is good enough. Because plants prefer slightly lower pH, right? That's the reason why we do not want to raise it above 8. And your nitrification cycle will be bringing down the pH as well. So, just look at alkalinity and balance it. You can manage the system.
Any more questions?
Sajid?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you can go ahead with now this one. Okay, one more question is there, I think. Just see.
Okay.
Yeah, just this one.
Okay.
Can convert rice paddy field into aquaponics?
There is already system integration of aquaculture and paddy system is going on, It's already gone. Already doing in Kerala, we have such systems actually. There is a formula to calculate the ppm calculation. If you can just ring me, I can send the calculation also. There is a chart also, you can easily calculate it. My mobile number is there. Khasan land, Kaish, what is that? Kaish?
Kazan land is saline land, sir.
Saline land. Yeah. Again, no, this is there is definitely
like
system can be, as far as there is a recirculating aquaculture system can be defined or can be constructed in a freshwater, estuarine, brackish water, that can be converted to aquaponics also. Only thing we need to identify what is the best plant, what is the possible plant which can actually tolerate these salinity with a beneficial use, right? Our trouble is we can actually, there are many of plants which are laying on the seashore, we can grow them, but what is the benefit out of it? That is again a trouble. We need to make them use for us. So that is again a trouble. So definitely at the moment, seaweed is the only one which we can use it, but definitely we need to look at it in that aspect. What are the commonly available plants? Micronutrients, we never monitor anything so far for commercial scale system here. It is all because we do not want to supply anything to make the fish stress out. That's the main reason why we do not let micronutrient supplement happening. But there are some publications, international very good publications, talking about these some micronutrients. But there is no, without any supplement, just now the video which I have shared, no micronutrient supplement is happening. Great.
Thank you, sir. It was very informative talk, giving valuable insights on how to design aquaponic system with reduced operational cost and information on various strategies that will help the farmers to make perfect system with increased production rate. Now I would request Dr. Trivesh Mayekar, sir, scientist ICAR, CCARI, to propose vote of thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Ajia. It's a really wonderful session on aquaponics. I really thank Dr. Mithun Shivkumaran for giving very much information and with the live examples of tanks and for the farmers which are really interested to take up this activity. and as a national campaign entitled Diversification of Aquaculture, which is a need of our for to feed the growing population by 2050. We have to think about the different strategies to increase the aquaculture production, not only fish production, but vegetable and agriculture production also. And integration is, as Sir said, it's a key of success. So at the outset, I would like to thank Dr. Mithun Sukumaran from University of Kerala for sharing his precious knowledge on aquaponics to different stakeholders. It's really meant to us. Also, I would like to thank all the stakeholders, participants, researchers, and scientists for attending and making this webinar successful. I can see that there are many queries by the farmers and stakeholders, and Sir has already answered all those queries. Also, a special thanks to our beloved director, Dr. Parveen Kumar sir. Really, sir is providing immense support to us in making this webinar successful. Also, I would like to thank Dr. Shiv Shanappa, senior scientist and nodal officer for this Bharat Ka Amrit Mahotsav from our institute. Uh, at last, I will say this event would not have been successful without the support and help of the organizing committee. I want to thank Dr. Srikanth, my colleagues, and other technical staff in this webinar. I would like also thank Ms. Sajia, Mr. Amit. Special thanks to Mr. Vishwajit Prajapati organizing this webinar, designing the poster, also Academy and other KVK staff and our institute staff for their support and help in conducting this webinar. Thank you all for making this event successful, and just will try to keep organizing such webinars on different topics in future also. Thank you all.